Hi there. Just doing a little setup here to make sure we are visible to everybody. Thank you for coming on here and checking out my live. I'm doing a little bit of, you might call it drawing housekeeping today. I'm going to do a lot of coloring and clean up some sketching that I've started but haven't really finished. And I think the best way to show you through this drawing, here's some housekeeping stuff I'm planning on doing today. I have to figure out what layer, there we go, that little pink dot is on that I don't want here. And I'm going to erase it. So this is where we're going to zoom in next on the drawing to this person who's sort of dancing. I haven't developed that at all. I haven't worked out the colors on this one at all. I just threw in some background colors right now. And I have to work out all those details. This one I also have pretty well finished this one because I'm a little unsure, and I don't think I'll sort that out in front of a whole audience. There's not much going on here except for her face in that page. Whereas look at this one, all the stuff going on in this one. We've got hair and costume, we've got a lake, stars, reflections. You know, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on in this part of it. And same with this one. I'm going to put, let my pencil charge. This one, there's quite a bit going on in this drawing. Although I thought about it today, I probably could add a whole forest around this drawing. I just have to think about what layer. Yeah, I've got a layer between the background and this tree layer, so it might be fairly easy to draw in some trees back there. Hi, thanks for joining me, folks. It takes a while for YouTube to get us up and running, but here we are, and I'm going to be working on this infinite zoom drawing today. I'm just sort of taking you out to the beginning, and then we're going to roll back in, and I'm going to start drawing. So this drawing starts right here. This is the origin of the drawing, and I'm going to do my little bit of housekeeping thing right here, turn on my layers, find out where this purple mark, what layer is that on? It is an error. It's on layer 3. So we'll just erase that. Clean up. All right, so we're at the beginning of this infinite zoom, and I'll just show you where this idea came from. It's a little poem. First, the poem goes: sunlight, roots and water, the crowns, the gowns, the endless grace, the hush before the glitter moves. She is fearless in her she is fearless in her direction and courage in her reflection. It's hard to read on this. I'm gonna have to get better at that. And so we're gonna zoom in now. So there's sunlight and there's roots. So I'm illustrating the poem is what I'm saying here. Water. And as we move in here, the crowns and the gowns, the endless grace. So I haven't really figured out what the endless grace colors, or I haven't even finished designing that. Right now what I'm doing is I'm working on coloring. I think I'm going to color in this one today. I just want to check the comments. Hi, Hannah Zoe had Hazi, James Johnson. Hello. You know what? I haven't been doing as many live streams. I worked on a couple of videos that are shorter and they're more informational. So I had to kind of shift my focus. I was also out of town. on business with my day job. And so I haven't been on much. So you haven't missed a whole lot. You can always go to my channel because I publish all of my lives. You're welcome to watch them. Thanks so much for coming by. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start coloring it, doing some like blocking out of color here. I've already started a little bit. And I'm going to do the color blocking on layer 5. So I know right here that I'm going to want to do this hand in the skin color. I go right over the rings and all because I can go over the top of them on another layer soon. I just want to block in the main color. And I'm working on, just so you know, I'm on the layer 5, which is just above the background color. I always try and keep in mind where I'm going to dive in on the next drawing. I've been doing great. Hi, James. Good to see you. I've been doing great. I've been busy with work stuff, unfortunately, so I haven't been in on my live streams very much. I think I got one in about a week and a half ago, so that's a while. And I'm working on this infinite zoom drawing. It's illustrating a poem. So right here, I think I want to do a little bit of cleanup. I've got the background layer right there. Let's just get rid of that. I just really want to clean this up because I don't know what I'm going to do with this drawing yet. So I basically want a blank piece of paper. This part of it is on my, what I call my ink layer, which is the very top, the black line layer. And everything else is underneath the black line layer, including the background, which is what I'm on right now. And I'm doing a little bit of cleanup on it. Oh, interesting. Okay, so what I need to do is go to the layer that I blocked color out on and clean that up a little bit by hello, Deku1109. Thank you for coming on here. Appreciate seeing folks. Doing a little bit of cleanup on this drawing. It's a poem illustration in my infinite zoom. I'm going to go to the black here and clean that line up. There we go. That looks better. Jonathan. Hi. Jonathan Patterson. Thank you for coming on here. I appreciate having some views on my YouTube. Love it. So I think I'm going to go up here to this crown and continue that pink color all the way around. Well, it's actually, this is a little bit more like a hat than a crown. This is kind of a Renaissance woman, I would say. And they did quite a bit of different kinds of like headdress type things. And then we want to get the skin color, whoopsie, right in here on the ear. Over here too. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. I just want to, I have some options here on the side. Oh, interesting. I don't want to do that. None. James, you've been home for 2 weeks now. Oh, that's right. You were a traveler. Um, so I have this option to share live excerpts from my, like little YouTube excerpts. And we got talking about something kind of personal on here, but it made a great live excerpt, but I didn't do it because I thought, what if that, because I think it was about losing someone. And I thought, what if that just reminds that person every time they go on my channel and they see that? I don't remember if you remember a discussion about that, if it was you or if it was someone else. I have a feeling, because I think you're a traveler and you have a child, right? You work away from home, but you have a child at home with a wife. Is that you? I just can't quite remember. Cleaning up here. So this is going to be a mirror behind, reflecting the backside of her hat and gown and all that. And I think I'm going to block in a gown color here. I definitely will be doing lots of different gown colors, but you're a welder and you have a wife and 5 kids. Wow. Okay. I think you are the person I was thinking of that we talked the last time. I want to go almost to a red on this dress. Whoops, wrong layer. Undo that one. Undo that mark. Go to my layer. Go down to my blocking layer. Choose a nice fat pencil. And we'll just block in some color. Just like this. I think we'll do sort of pink on the top and green, kind of a green skirt underneath. Do a little cleanup as I go. Okay, so out of the people who are out there listening, how many of you are artists? Or how many of you just enjoy drawing? Or maybe you used to when you were a kid, but you don't really draw anymore. So last time we spoke, my wife was 1 week away from birthing my youngest daughter. Oh, so did you just have a baby? Is that what you're saying? Wow, that's exciting. That's exciting. Congratulations. Because I think the last time we talked was a couple weeks ago, and your wife was 1 week away from giving birth. That's fabulous. And everybody's okay. I'm gonna assume everybody's okay, unless you tell me different. And it's an exciting time. It's also a lot of work. I happen to know it's a lot of work. I've had children. But it's just the best kind of work there is. Just the best. Wow, that's exciting. Okay, kind of like this dual color thing going on here. I might carry that on by adding pink to half of her hat right here. And then we'll go with a little bit darker color of this. Probably should go to a little bit smaller pen. That is why I haven't been here, because of this. Everything is okay, great. Right, yes. Well, you know, you can always, when you're, I hope you get parental leave from wherever you work. You can always take the baby, put him on your chest. If you got 5, you already know this. Put on your favorite YouTube live and just let him fall asleep. And then you can't move and you're a captive audience. Self-employed. Ah, so only paid family leave in the sense if you saved up enough money to stay home, which I know self-employment is challenging when you're trying to build a business. Yes, indeed. Well, at least you get your boss. You're your own boss, which is super cool. Still just blocking in color here. Oh, right on. So when you say I saved for 5 months, that means you saved up money for 5 months, or you saved so you could take 5 months off. Just wondering which that means. How much time are you planning on taking off? If you answer that, I'll be able to figure out exactly what you meant. I wish I would make these YouTubes so that you could allow people to actually talk back, not just type. That's fabulous, though, your planner. Good for you. Hey, I wonder, so what kind of welding do you do? We have to make this machine, sort of this, I don't want to call it a machine. It's a compression table. We have to make a compression table at work. Because we're going to be a straw bale panel manufacturer. We already are a design build company, and we're also going to be a straw bale panel manufacturer. And it requires that we build a compression table, which we know what we want. We usually work with, we do have a couple people who work with metal, but like it's not their specialty. Their specialty is wood and carpentry and, you know, softer materials than metal. Pipeline and structural welding is what you do. Oh, okay. Got it. So do you work for like the oil companies, or, well, do you contract with them? Pipeline and structural welding. So I don't have a lot of metal on my projects, so I'm trying to picture what your final, you know, welded piece is that you'd work on. Pipeline, like big pipelines, like that oil comes through, or like water pipes. I mean, welding, because a lot of water comes through plastic now. Is it metal welding that you do? pipeline and structural welding. Okay. Sounds like big commercial work. That's what it sounds like. And I bet that's what you're talking about. So I'm going to go back over to my greens over here. The cheapest bet and high paying oil and water metal. Yes, okay. The cheapest bet and high paying. Yeah. I had a brother who was a iron worker. He's retired now. Almost all my brothers are retired now, because I'm old. He was I think he was well, he was an iron worker, and he took a welding course, and he passed it, because he was thinking, he was basically a connector for years, and connecting's hard work. It's can be kind of dangerous. And then he got like a blood clot from wrapping his legs around. He was on this job in New York, and he had to wrap his legs around the girders as he was doing whatever he did with his connection work, and he ended up with a blood clot. So then after that, I don't know if it was after that, but I think he started thinking, oh, I need to like change what I'm doing, because he was hospitalized, and it was sort of a big deal, and he lost work time. And even though he was insured, he still lost. He doesn't. That's not what he wants to be doing, is laying in a hospital bed. So I think at one point he went and got his welding. He thought, well, maybe I'll switch over to welding. But ultimately he didn't end up doing that. He ended up being a foreman, and he was really good he's just like genius brain, and he was really good at figuring out the order of where to stack everything so that it all makes sense, and the crane can get to all of it in an orderly fashion. So that was sort of his thing. And he was good at that. And so he ended up leading crews, which then became a kind of a super interesting thing, because he got really good at leading crews. And so then he started working in different parts of the country, because he wasn't from New York. He was living in Alaska at the time. So then he got a job in, I love telling this story because I think it's such a cool job. He started working on this project in Hawaii, at the top of a mountain. So it was the Big Island, where there's a lot of telescopes. I believe, yeah, it was the Big Island. There's a lot of telescopes up on the mountains there. And like it was a university, I think, that had this. They basically had this giant solid piece of glass that they had to store underground until they installed it in the telescope. Can't remember why they had to store it underground, but it was like one of the biggest pieces of glass ever. And if you Google, so these telescopes they're like to look much farther than you can with like a regular telescope. They're like buildings. These telescopes are like buildings. They're so big. And so the telescope he put in was a piece of solid glass type of telescope. Not all of them are. Some of them have like lots and lots of small pieces of glass all put together, and they are able to stitch the image together that way, I guess. In this case, it was a solid piece of glass. Had to be stored underground, was shipped across to Hawaii, and then he built the cradle with his crew, and he had the architect there that he worked with the whole time, and their tolerances were 1/64 of an inch. Like that's like crazy tight tolerances. It had to be that exactly, that cradle had to be completely exactly built perfectly. So there was different challenges with that because as you go up the mountain, there's, you know, some oxygen challenges, and every day had its own new challenge. So it was pretty interesting stories he would tell about that job. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick. Okay, this is as far as I've gotten on this one. I'll just, for anybody who's joined, give you a quick overview. This is an infinite zoom drawing. It's an illustration for a poem that I wrote, which is, I can't even remember what inspired me to write. It's a really short little poem. And I think what inspired me to write it was I was trying to come up with an infinite zoom, and I thought I want to have a poem written, and then I'm going to find a really good song to put it to. I'm sorry, a short, an infinite zoom short. And so there's three things going on. The screen will be moving with the infinite short. There'll be a poem overlaid on the infinite zoom. And then there'll be music playing in the background. And so you never know what will what gets people to kind of be drawn in. And so I think this is the layer I want to do the erasing on. Nope, it's on this layer. There we go. Yeah, so having layers of things going on in your shorts keeps people there longer, and they watch them over and over again to get all the details. I don't know if you've noticed that when you're watching shorts, but if your short is watched over and over again, that's like a really high retention rate. The algorithm likes it, and they'll show it to more people. And because I don't really care about the views that I get from shorts, other than I wanted to show it to more people so I get more subscribers and then hopefully build my channel up. I'm still not monetized. I did make the 1,000 subscriber limit requirement, so that was pretty cool. I made that a few weeks ago. That was exciting. So we're going to go back out. I'm going to try and read this poem again that this infinite zoom is about, and then we'll zoom back in, and I'm going to continue cleaning up and coloring. So here we are. This is the original drawing, and I'm really thinking about just doing this drawing was for a graphic novel idea that I have, and the poem doesn't have anything to do with it other than the poem might be one page of the graphic novel. And so the poem is sunlight, roots, water, the crowns, the gowns, the endless grace, the hush before the glitter moves. She is fearless in her direction, courage in her reflection. And so that's the heroine, which is, you know, kind of undeveloped at this point. I don't know what the storyline is completely. I know a little bit, but we just saw sunlight, and now we're seeing roots, water, which is in the poem, the first line. We go in here to the crowns and the gowns, the endless grace. And that's as far as I've gone with the illustrations. And we're coloring today. Okay, so I think I want to take a minute here and work on, I'm going to go to the background layer. I'm going to choose this pink right here. And I am going to choose that pink right there. And then I'm going to go and make it grayer, because it's the reflection in the background. I don't want it to be as bright as what's in the foreground. Oh, interesting. I started watching a really good series on Netflix. It's pretty family friendly. So I think anybody can watch it. Whoopsie. It's called The Way Home. And it's a time traveling series about this family, or this group of families that all live in the same town in Canada. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I just started into season 3, and I think they might have 4 seasons. They're not all on Netflix. Only the first 2 seasons are on Netflix, and then you have to go over to YouTube on the Hallmark Channel to watch the others. So here we'll go again with a grayer green in the background. I like Trailer Park, and F is for family. Trailer Park. Oh, I haven't watched that one. F is for family. That must be another series. I'll have to check them out. Trailer Park Boys. Okay, got it. So let's see here. How is this going to work? I want to go with a darker frame for the mirror. Oh, I'm on the background. Okay. Good to know. F is family have Bill Blur in it. Okay. I don't know my actors, sorry. I don't really watch enough TV. I binge every once in a while. I binge watch stuff, which I know is sort of a thing these days that other people do too. Okay. So this is going to be like a carved kind of finale to the top of this frame. And maybe I'll just go in here and do some highlights so you can see kind of what I'm thinking. Bill Blur is a comedian. Oh, okay. Got it. So I know I want this to be gold right here. I think we'll make this whole thing a gold hardware thing. Okay, so what layer am I on? I'm on the background layer. So let's go up a layer and I'll choose a highlight color. Dresses in high school is a band like Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses or Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. Okay, got it. I know those names. And I get the flavor of what you're talking about. I'll check my comment here in just a second. Oh, geez, I got some weird stuff going on there. I'll go back here to the background, to this. A pair of blue jeans and Reebok classic high top. Oh. So I dressed, I think you meant I dressed in high school as a like a band like Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses or Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans and a Reebok classic high top. Okay, cool. uh, that's, you know, you just like describe this whole look that I could draw a character of. Like maybe I should do that. Maybe that'll be one of my characters. I'm working on characters over. I'll just take a break here and show you what I'm working on. What layer is that brown dot on? I think it's here. It is. So we'll come back to this in a minute because I know how exciting it is to watch me color. I'm working on characters over here in Adobe Fresco. So these are not infinite zooms. Cancel that. Go to the home button. So this in this poem for the graphic novel, you would have seen that character that I drew at the beginning before you zoom into the necklace that has the poem on it. So I came over here after I drew that first drawing. I'm like, I have to get good at making a character look consistent if I'm going to do a graphic novel. So I thought, what does she actually look from the side? And I drew that. Well, I actually drew it up here in black and white first. And then I said, what is she going to look like when she's jumping? She's a parkour and she's a vet tech, but for fun, she's a parkour. And then I thought, what is she going to look like when you move her head around and put different expressions on her? Is it going to feel like the same person? And I think it does. This one, I'm not sure I'm totally convinced about that mouth area there, but I think it would work. So that's one character. And the reason I'm here is because you're like describing, I have two male characters in here, and this is one of them. He's a computer geek. That's his role. And then I have I drawn I don't think I've drawn the fourth character. I have a girl that I've drawn. Oh no, I did draw the fourth character. He's a biologist, and so I put sandals on him, but I could change it. So a pair of blue jeans with Reebok classic high top, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Ozzy Osbourne t-shirts. So I actually was going to put a Canadian leaf on him as a symbol of him being a biologist. So this is all I've done on his character development. I just have the original face like that. I have a side view that I worked out. And then I have one sad face that I worked out. And one smiley face, which I colored in. And this is a new thing I'm doing, like the eyes. I've been looking at what other people are doing in animation or in graphic novels. And there's a ton of things out there that are sort of anime based. And I don't want my characters to look anime, but I do love how they do the eyes. And what I noticed about the eyes, and I'll probably do a little video about this, is that they really look like there's depth to the eye because they have it's like the eye is it looks like a globe that you can see into, and they have multiple reflections on the eye, so the eyes tend to look quite sparkly. And they do it on both of them, and they're never the same, completely the same. So I had a lot of fun with that, and I'm probably going to do that with all of the characters I do when I do a close-up on their face. Oops, that's not an infinite zoom. I started infinite zooming. Yeah, I like the look of the eyes on anime characters. I was going to go here really quick because I think it's good to see how I get my inspiration. So let me just say anime characters and see if it'll fictional anime characters images. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so that's a little bit, you see how there's that reflection, like you're looking into the eye, and then there's the reflection on the top. I know there's better ones here. Here's one. Let's see if I can click in here so you can get a better view. Again, it's like there's a depth to the eye, and the reflections are on the top, and there's also some other reflections down inside. Anyway, I do look at what other people are doing because I'm like, what is it about their eyes that, because I'm not really interested in drawing this type of character here. This is a little more interesting to me, that guy. This one is really interesting to me. I think he's a really interesting character. And let's take a closer look at his eyes. Oops. A lot of people loved that one, I think. Where did he go? This is a good artist, whoever this is. Who is this artist? Let's see if we can tell. Yeah, I've lost that particular drawing. Whoa. So that I've got into a game channel. My bad. Yeah, so anyway, you get the idea with all the sparkles and the reflections inside the eye. That's what I picked up from looking at other people's and carried into my own. And my art, though, my characters, they don't look anime. They don't have pointy chins. They don't have, I haven't animated her eyes though, but I will. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. What happens if we do that? Oh, now all my clothes is blue jeans and plain t-shirts and basketball shorts and steel toe boots and Reebok Classic high top and a pair of slides and polo shirts. Okay, you might be seeing a character coming out with that. I love that. You just gave me a description. It's like now I have a goal of what I'm going to draw. I don't have to think it up out of my own head, which is pretty fun. That's pretty fun. So let me get to the right layer here. This one is here, I think. Is this it? Is this it? Is it her whole body? It's her whole body, and she's walking. It's the walking one. Where is that? Right there. There we go. So I'm going to go here to my pen. And I'll go back to the black. I think the problem is I made that way too wide. Now I'll go back to this color. I can go on pretty much any drawing I have in Adobe Fresco or Infinite Zoom and just pick up and start cleaning up and coloring and finishing what I didn't finish the last time I was in the drawing. Now I've lost my purpose. Oh, I was going to animate her eyes. Let's do it. Okay. So these are all on one layer. So I'm going to choose this color and I'm going to go a little bit lighter. Totally don't like that. That was good, actually. I'll just grab this and clean this up. And then you go to an even lighter shade. And then I think that we need to go over to like a completely different super light shade, almost white, and we'll just do a couple dots. Let me go backwards on that, back. And then we go to the white and go over the top of everything. No, back up. And that's starting to look a little bit like it. Hi, Cameron, 05H9E. Thanks for coming by. So that kind of is what I'm talking about when I say I want to animate their eyes. It's to add more reflection in them than what I was doing before, and kind of making them look a little bit more like a pool of color. And I probably could go even further by going over to sort of a blue-green here. And I'm not going to make it, I'm just going to go right here. It went on top of that, and I didn't want it to go on top of that. So let me go back here. I may have to do that one again. So I could go like this and like this. Then I will go to a layer, where am I? I'm here. I'm going to go create a layer right above it and come back with a solid black. And then I'll also do right here. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. I'm going to look at my comment in a minute. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now, darn, these got a little bit wonky in this shape here. Let's just fix that. I might use the eraser just to smooth out the edge. That didn't work. I've got too much taper going on my tools right now, and I'm really close up, so they look really exaggerated on the taper. There we go. Now I'm going to go back. So where am I? I'm on this layer. I'm going to go back to this layer. I'm going to go back to that green color that I had and do this again right there. Just to exaggerate it a little bit more. Really trying to get that look of pools. Now we'll go back up to this layer, grab my solid white, and then this is going to go over the top. I'm going to merge all these together in a second. When I'm satisfied. Okay, I like that. That's starting to look more like what I was wanting. Okay, so that was fun. Kind of moving over here and experimenting on a fresco drawing with the idea of pools when you look into the eyes of the person. Pools. Okay, let's go back over to the infinite zoom. Save that. Back to my infinite zoom, and this is the one I'm working on right now. And for anybody who's just joined me, the last part of this infinite zoom is here. It's not developed yet. That's going to be the infinite grace. This is the gowns drawing. This is the crowns drawing. This is the water. It's kind of a water fairy drawing. This is the roots drawing. And the sun. But it's going to take us back out to that character that I was working on over in Adobe Fresco, and there she is. So this is my first sketch of that character, and I ended up taking her into Adobe Fresco and then doing all those character views that I showed you a few minutes ago. So Cameron, I'm going to say Cameron because that's what I think it says. The way this is an infinite zoom program. It's let's see if I can tell you the name of it. So if I go out here and I zoom in here, I'm going to show you the logo. If anybody wants to download this, look for this logo right here, that logo right there. It's pink background with blue, purple, and white. And you can get it in the App Store. Right now, they're calling it, I think they're calling it Zoom Art. Unfortunately, they've changed their name. So every time I come on here and try and talk intelligently about it, I have to look up what is the latest that they're calling themselves? So let's look in the frequently asked questions. Troubleshooting. Zoom art. Um, undo file size. I was hoping they had an email or a company address, but they don't. So unsupported, corrupted, technical information. So Zoom art, ZOOM, capital ART. So it looks like there's something magic going on, right? But what it is, it's a mathematical calculation that the program is. Oops, sorry. Let me zoom out. It's a mathematical calculation. So it's a vector drawing. So you can go as close as you possibly can to that line and you're never going to see pixels. That's a vector drawing compared to a digital or a raster drawing, or sometimes when you do other programs, you have the option of doing pixelated raster painting, or you can do vector lines. In this case, this program only does vector lines, so you can't do really watercolory painterly things with this program, but you can do this infinite zoom. And the reason that they only use vector is because a vector line is a calculation. It's a mathematical calculation. It's not a pixel. It's not like a bunch of pixels together. It's a mathematical calculation. And every time you zoom in a little bit closer, the program is recalculating. It's recalculating what you're seeing. It's mathematically recalculating, and so that you can keep going and going infinitely, because it's just the sheets. It's almost like sheets of paper that it recalculates to. Gosh, I'm really not explaining that really well, but that's what I understand about it. Yeah, you can definitely try that program. It's not super expensive, I don't think. I think you can try it for a month for like $5, and then if you want to keep it, it's like $5 a month, I think, is what I'm paying. That's an interesting question. I wonder if it tells me in the frequently getting started navigation, course sharing, exporting technical information. No, I think I have to go out here to my yeah, I have to go into my subscriptions, and let me see if I can do that. Settings. I don't want to do that. So how do I go? I want to go there. Subscriptions. $4.99 a month is what I'm paying. Yep, $4.99 per month for Infinite Zoom. So it's definitely cheaper than Adobe Fresco. I pay like at least $19 a month for what I'm using for Adobe Fresco, which is the program that I showed you where I had all the character animations. This one. And this one you can do pixelated. The brushes are vector brushes, pixel brushes, live brushes, which is like actually having watercolor on your screen. It'll react when you put more watercolor next to it, and it'll kind of bleed into each other. That's kind of what the live brushes are. So you've got 3 kinds of brushes. Both the pixel and the live brushes become, I know the pixel brushes become pixelated as you zoom in. That's a good question. Let me see if I can answer that. Let's go to I'm just going to go ahead and experiment right while you're watching to a live brush. And I'm going to go to watercolor, because watercolor is fun. And we'll choose a nice aqua color here, nice strong aqua color, a white area on the screen, and you see how, I'll make it nice and big. See how that looks like, and you see how that bleeds into that. If I change colors, you're going to see it's going to be more obvious. So I'm going to go like, it's really cool. It like bleeds into it. It's really fun to work with. So what I want to know on this is when you zoom in, does it get pixely? Yes, it does. There you see the pixels. Now let's compare that with a vector brush. I'll go here to my vector brush, and we'll just use that nice taper that I've been using, and we'll grab that aqua color. So when you zoom in on the vector brush, see how clean that vector line is compared to the pixel line here? And go even closer. You're never going to get the pixels with the vector brush, but you will with the pixelated brushes or the live brushes in Adobe Fresco, or in any, basically any art program. They're all using the same technology that was developed quite a few years ago. It's not new technology. The live brushes is newest. That's the newest, I would say. Okay, let me go back out to my infinite zoom. And that's over here. There we go. Back to coloring. I think I'll put a really big emerald right here. I didn't check what layer I was on. I've been away so long. That's fine, I'm on that layer. And we'll go with a lighter green to create a reflection. I think I might go even lighter. I think I just saw a comment. I will pop on there and look. Tomorrow I will not be sleeping in. Why do you say that, James? What's going on tomorrow? Tomorrow you will not be sleeping in. Are you the one that has to wake up with the baby tomorrow? Is it your turn? Okay, that's starting to look like a shiny piece of rock. My wife will be dragging me and my kiddos to church tomorrow. Ah, yes, I remember those days. I grew up going to church. Not a bad thing, as long as it's, you know, for the right reasons. Whoopsie. Sorry, I'm off the screen. Yes, I don't go anymore. I do say I like have this thing that I say about my world now, and that is that that nature is my church. So if I go outside and go for a long walk, or if I hike up the side of a mountain, or if you sit alone on a beach, and I'm not saying you sit there and you scroll your phone or even draw like this. I'm just saying sitting in nature quietly is like meditation, in a way, or prayer, however you want to look at that. That is my church. Being quiet with nature. I am one of those guys who would go to church every other Sunday. Got it. You don't quite need it every week. Did I read that right? I am one of those guys who would go church every other Sunday. Every other Sunday, yeah. So it's not as imperative. That would be just enough to keep your mind in the right place. Okay, got it. Yeah, my mom went, she would drag us to church every Sunday too. But interestingly, she in her later life too, she stopped going completely. But she had a falling out. We had this really, really um, old auntie, Aunt Molly was her name, and she was from Ireland. She immigrated here in the 1920 something. Oh, there's a really good, interesting stories with Molly. She never married. She became a nurse, a practical nurse. So she didn't have like the full nurse education. She was a practical nurse. I'm going to go over here and pick up this color and figure out what's going on. Okay, back over here. What layer am I on? That layer. I'm going to go up a layer here. So, story goes like this. At the end of her life, because she never married, she lived on her own. She always worked as a nurse for this hospital, and I think it was run. It was kind of like how there was Peace Health. And originally, like a lot of the nursing staff in places like that were nuns, religious folk. Things have changed, and now they're all sort of what we all recognize as hospitals are very similar today, kind of corporate, and doctors and nurses and stuff. We don't have religious people walking around anymore, but it didn't used to be that way. And so she worked at a religious based hospital, and she went to church every Sunday. Every Sunday. And so I'm just thinking about, what am I doing here? I'm doing a pattern. And then she got sick in the very end of her life. She lived in St. Louis. We lived in southern Wisconsin. She got sick. So my mother, who adored her, it was her auntie, brought her up to live with us. She got cancer, so she had to go through cancer treatments. Brought her up to live with us, and so that my mom could take care of her. And nobody from the church or the hospital checked in on her. She never heard from any of them. Like, I think she had some friends maybe that she heard from, but in general, the people that, the church is the one that my mom was really upset with, because she felt like they should have checked in on her. But what they did instead was they sent her, how you have to do tithes, or you give money to the church every year. They'll send, it's like dues. And you give what you can, of course. But they did not ever check on her, but they did ask for her tithing. I think they call it tithing. They asked for her donation. So that's the only letter she ever got from her church after going there her entire adult life. So, like, for 60 years, she went to this church in St. Louis. And then when she got sick and she went away, they didn't check on her at all. And my mom was just like, that's it. I'm done with churches. And I'm not saying all churches are like that. They're not. But that was sort of interesting. She made us all go to church for years and years and years. And then when she realized that the church was not what she thought it was, she quit going. James, you get me into the most interesting discussions. Oops, sorry, went off center here. You would show up halfway through the sermon. You'd be late. Okay. That's funny. All right. Let's go on this layer. I'm just going to keep moving up on these layers. And let's go to a blue. Let's add some blue highlights here. Blue and pink. Oh, the pink doesn't show up very well. Let's go to a yellow then. Nice yellow. A yellow green. There, that shows up. Whoops. I'm just trying to show what would this look like if this was an embroidered collar holding this, and it had beads and different things like that on it. My personal opinion, the people in the back pews are the most judgmental people. Really, in the back pews are the most judgmental? Interesting. I would have said the front pews. But I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time. Probably depends on the church. The people in the back pews. That's interesting that you say that. So the other interesting thing about my Aunt Molly was the immigration story with her. So my Aunt Molly, my grandparents, so my mom was first generation Irish American. She was the first one to be born in the United States in that side of the family. And, well, her brothers and her. And my grandparents were born in Ireland. In my church, the front pews are elder ladies. Oh, elder ladies? Elder lady? So the old ladies. Like me. Well, hopefully we get less judgmental as we get older. So, so with my Aunt Molly and her immigration story, So back in the 20s, the Irish, there was a lot of Irish immigrants. There had been in 1918 or 19, there was the Easter Rebellion in Ireland. There was like a lot of political upheaval. And there was also, and it had to do with the British kind of trying to take over and dominate the um, the Irish people, which was unpleasant for them. They really didn't want other. They wanted to just have their own country. They didn't want and the English were problematic for the Irish, and so they had some upheaval over that. And my great grandfather put my grandfather on a boat, and then later my aunt Molly followed in the 20s, and so they had to go through immigration here in the United States. And they and like my aunt Molly didn't marry anybody, so she couldn't get in that way. So she basically came in, went to work, and applied for citizenship and went through the courses and all of that. And I went through like historical records, and I found that she had tried. It took her 15 years to get her citizenship. And one judge, now my Aunt Molly, you have to understand, my Aunt Molly was sort of the epitome of straight laced, sweet, innocent, um, decent person. You know, she was hardworking. She was, she kind of had a lisp, so she sounded a little bit funny when she talked. Um, she had it like all of her S's whistled. Anyway, this judge, and she worked in what was called a sanatorium, which I think like eventually sanatoriums meant places where mentally ill people lived. But I don't think they always meant just that. I think they at one time meant just like an extended care facility, I think is what I would say. So I'm not sure if she was in that place where she worked, if she was taking care of mentally ill people, or if she was taking care of, just people that needed extended care, like they broke a hip or whatever and they had to stay in the hospital a long time, so they send them to these sanatoriums. I'm not sure exactly about that, but I do know that she worked in a sanatorium, and the judge said she was of ill character. And I'm like, I met this woman. How could anybody say that she is of ill character? I was sort of appalled by that. And then I realized, oh, the Irish at that time were considered sort of the low class. They were recent immigrants to the country, and so they were like the other people. They were different than the people who had immigrated before them. They were a different nationality. They had an accent, and she had a thick accent, and so I just thought that was sort of interesting. She did get her citizenship eventually, but it took a while, and she had to apply a couple times because that one judge um, judged her harshly and put that on her record, which is there forever. She's passed on though, and I'm sure she didn't care when she got her citizenship. She's like, what do I care what that guy thinks of me? So, yeah, she was an interesting one. My dad acts Medea. Medea? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oops. My dad acts Medea. I don't know what you mean by that. I think I need more information. So I'm being super careful down here so that I don't draw over the top of my little rough drawing that I'm going to be zooming into here and developing that whole thing eventually. Maybe you meant my dad acts mad. I'll put a nice green bead on there. And I think we'll go with this gold color here. So this, actually I'll put the gold color up here. So this is sort of like a metal cap. It's a fictional character created by Tyler Perry. Oh, now I gotta go look that up. Your dad acts like this fictional character created by Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry. Huh. How old is your dad? Oh, I like this. Okay, so let's make this a different color entirely. Where should I go with that color? I think we'll go with a nice deep blue. He was in 73. So he's 73 years old. He's older than me. So this is going to be like a glass perfume necklace. I don't know if you've ever seen those where they have a screw on top, and then the base of it is like glass. Whoopsie. He was born in 73. Okay, so he's younger than me. So he's like 50. Let me think about that. He's about like 53 or something like that. Okay, and then I think what I'm going to do on this one is go up a layer. I'm going to do silver threads on here. There we go. I like having them nice and elaborate. So then let's make these earrings a little more interesting. We'll go with a darker green. I have to clean up the background of this. This earring's kind of messy. I might come back in here with a nice purple, actually, and put some purple enamel beads, I think, on the top of the black. But I have to fix this right here first. There we go. Fixed it. Baby snake. I was born in 1847. Okay, so baby snake, if you were born in 1847, that would make you a lot older. Oops, I totally went on the wrong layer. So that would make you 1840, 150, 70, 8, 9. 184 years old. I don't know, I'm doing the math in my head, so I probably got that wrong. That seems kind of hard to believe. Unless you have reincarnated and in your earlier life you were born in 1847. Or did you mean 1947? Yep. So you're saying you're like 100 and, what did I say? I don't know, 50 something or 1847. I just did this in my head. So that's 75 plus 3, 78. I just stopped aging in my teen years. Really? I wish you could put photos in the comments. I would love to see your face. So hilarious. I love it. Wouldn't it be cool if on YouTube, if spirits could show up on YouTube? That would be super cool. Okay, I've only done one eye and I've only just started that eye. I have to watch the clock here. I'm going to have to leave in about 20 minutes, but I'm going to keep drawing for the next 20 minutes. All right, what layer do I go on for these eyes? Right here. Okay. I think I want to go up and clean up the black layer with an eraser. And then I'll probably have to come back in with black. Okay, what happened there? All right, so again, I'm going to go in here and do some cleanup. Got to get on the right layer though. The black line layer. I'm not sure I like what's going on here with the bottom of this eye. Okay, that feels better. I might clean these up just a little bit. Okay, let's do the make her eyes look like pools thing that I did on the other one. So I'm going to go to this layer and choose this brown and go to a much lighter shade of that. I'm going to go even lighter. There, liking that. Then I'm going to, add some sparkles. And then I'm going to go to the very top up here above the black layer, and I'm going to choose a white, and that'll be like the sunlight reflection. And it crosses across a lot of this. So it goes over the top of everything. I'll do it on both eyes. The light's coming from the same side on both eyes. So you can see what I did there. I could go back here to this layer, and sometimes I just like to add a little bit of sparkle. Let me go here, let's just choose that, and let's go with the smallest. Not that anybody's ever going to see this, I'm just doing it because it's fun. Okay. Well, I really want to thank people for coming on today. If you want to see me again, please hit the subscribe button. I'm just going to take us through this infinite zoom. I'll maybe develop this the next time I come on infinite zoom. So she's sort of dancing, looking up. I have a lot of coloring to do on this. I'm going to color in all those gowns, different colors. I've got to do all the woodwork on the floor and all around her. Like this will be quite elaborate, this little drawing. And this one, again, I'm like uninspired by the crown part of my poem. So that one might stay really simple. I spent a lot of time on this one, the water portion, and those are octopi on her and fish scales, and she's sort of a lady of the lake type. So thanks everybody for coming by. I'm just gonna zoom out here to the beginning, and I will see you the next time I come on here to do Infinite Zoom. Thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.